Yeah, it's just an amazing place, but it was never known about. What I remember from Anna and Enniskillen as a child, growing up around Lough Neagh, was messing about in a red kayak, a fiberglass kayak that my dad built when he was in school. When we moved here in '95, the only people who used Lough Neagh were the eel fishermen. I grew up sailing in this bay and playing in this bay, on the water, in the water, around the water. It was huge for me, and my parents were very, very happy for me to be in the water. I left Ireland when I was 18. So at one point I was living in what was then the most polluted city on the planet, Linfen in China, where there's huge coal mines, there's lots of steel smelting. In the winter back then there was like smog the way that you would have in Victorian England. I remember coming back here from being away and seeing people on the loch just for the crack and being like, what is this place? It was a real sense of shock for me. You see from jet skis to power boats to wakeboarders, kite surfers, sailors, windsurfers, they're all playing. There was always algae in the loch when I was a child. It was green, sticky, almost like seaweed sort of stuff. Coming back here at one point from abroad and seeing the loch was clear, the water was clear, that algae had gone. So then when my kids came down to the loch 2 years ago and we saw the blue-green algae, we knew this is the dangerous stuff, this is different to the stuff that I grew up with. But I wouldn't even consider taking them on the water now. They won't be able to learn in the way that I learned. They won't be able to engage with this space the way that I engage. This is the largest body of fresh water on these islands, and it's been stolen from us. It's been stolen from my kids. The farmer who owns the field behind us is the farmer that the first job that I ever had was on their farm. It was picking peas and beans in the summer. Yeah, it was just a bit of crack for us. We were 10, 11, 12 years old. There's now a pig shed very close to that farm. So there's definitely been a move towards meat. It looks to me like farming has changed a lot because of the way the government subsidises farmers. And that's causing a huge harm to all of us, everywhere on the planet. Not just people on the shores of Lough Neagh. And I ended up working for an environmental NGO in education work. So I work on a programme for Friends of the Earth called People Planet Place, and I work in Darragh with young people directly, and we do that with organisations that work with young people. And basically we help them understand power structures, and we help them look at how they can influence systemic change in their communities and in society. And it's the best thing I've ever done career-wise. I absolutely love it. I work with incredible people. This is something where I see them flourish. I see them express hope and give others hope for a better world, a better community. So there's a young man who participated in our programmes in Derry, let's call him Joe. He always talked about a certain feeling that he got from being in nature, and he talked about the stream behind where he lives and spending time there and being really disappointed that people would litter there, and being really disappointed when he'd see pollution in the stream. And he's talked about this throughout the time that he's been engaged with Friends of the Earth, and we had an opportunity then to come to a meeting with the Secretary of State for Northern Ireland. Joe really wanted to talk to the Secretary of State about my boy dump. We need to tell the Secretary of State about my boy. He doesn't know about my boy. He doesn't know that this is the biggest illegal dump in Europe. We need to make sure that he knows this. We need to make sure that he changes this. He just didn't feel any sense of disparity in terms of the Secretary of State being somebody that you can't have a normal conversation with, or you can't share your own personal feelings about. I found that really, really inspiring, just observing that interaction and how eloquent Joe was and how passionate Joe was. There's three things that stand out to me. One is we need to build community. Building community means listening to each other, and we're very good at listening to people that we like or listening to people that we agree with. The bigger challenge today in today's society is listening to people that we disagree with. The second thing is doing something, taking some sort of action, and that could be, pulling out the Himalayan balsam that's behind me. So an invasive species, or lifting litter, or planting trees, but doing something. And the third thing is thinking a bit more strategically and thinking about what are the injustices and who has control over changing these injustices, and how do we persuade people in positions of power to do something that's a little bit more just for the society that we live in today.